Okay, we're not. Oh, there we go. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Paranormal Hot Seat. I am your host, Donna Gerron.
And I'm co-host Stacy Gust. Happy equinox and fall, everybody.
So tonight for you, I'm gonna apologize because my camera's kind of bouncy. My little one's in the bed with me, and she's not feeling well. So if I'm all over the place, that's why. And my internet's a little spotty. So let's hope I can stay connected. So tonight we have with us Debe Branning. And Debe is the director of MVD Ghost Hunters. And they're based in Mesa, Bisbee, Arizona. And she's been doing that since 1994. And they conduct investigations in haunted historical locations throughout Arizona. And we're going to bring you Debe here in just one. There she is. Hey, Debe.
Hi, Debe.
Hello. Hi, guys.
Can you hear us? Ah, there she is.
I'm
Hi,
getting in there.
Oh, good. Let's see. We're having some issues going live on some of these places.
I know you guys are going to have to shout.
Play around with
and I'll just talk a lot.
Oh, no, I apologize. I don't know. I don't know why you can't hear us very well, but okay. So, Debe, tell us, what's the MVD Ghost Chasers? How long you guys been around?
What MVD Ghost Chasers stands for? The MVD Ghost Chasers have been together since like 1993. And what we were is a group of people. Okay. We all worked for the motor vehicle department, where you get your driver's license and your car tag. Oh, that's awesome. So MVD, motor vehicle department. We all worked together, and it was kind of like, we need to go places and do things together. So we started going to haunted places. We went to a hotel called the Gazette Hotel in Douglas, Arizona. And we would go down there on the weekends and investigate, explore it. And then we would come back to work the following Monday and tell them all about all the crazy things that were happening when we were there. So then the next weekend or payday, it was usually on paydays we'd go down. Then more people would go with us. Sometimes we had about 6 or 7 cars all kind of like caravanning down to the Gazette Hotel. After a while, they just kind of gave me the 3rd floor and said, okay, you guys can just stay here on the 3rd floor. 2nd floor, just stay in your little section, don't bother the other people. And we just kept, doing that a lot. And the spirits there, suddenly began to know us too, as well as we knew them. So that's how we got together. Then from the Gaston, we started going to other haunted places in Arizona, train depots, hotels, restaurants, anywhere we could go, anywhere they would let us in. Sometimes we'd go into places and take fake luggage so we can go into hotels. I thought we were staying there. But, back in the early days, it wasn't as welcoming as it is now. So that's how we got together. And that was just basically a bunch of work friends together. Of course, a lot of them have retired now or, taken new jobs. So I've had to take on just other people as well as not MVD people, that regular people that want to hunt with us as well. So we still are very active.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. Right on.
That's pretty good. So do you still go out and actively investigate yourself?
Yes, I am very active, and usually we'll have 1 or 2 people from the team with us, and then I like to ghost hunt with and investigate with other teams as well. I'm invited to a lot of teams. Hey, we're going to be going to investigate. You want to come along? And I go, yeah, sure. So I'm, very active out there investigating, always getting stories because I'm an author. So that's all my, the stories in my books are true stories from, investigations and adventures. So I'm always out there looking for the next story for another book. So I'm still very, very active in ghost hunting in paranormal investigations.
Let me ask you this. Do you think that being a paranormal investigator complements being a writer with what you want to write about?
Yeah, it does, because the way I write my books and investigate is I might hear, a paranormal, tale or a ghost story, whatever. and then I will go to the location and see what's really there, and ask the people, who do you think it is, or why do you think this happened? And then I read a lot of old newspapers. I'm constantly on the computer reading old newspapers, trying to find out what really did happen at the such and such hotel or in the such and such restaurant, to see if I can find something that kind of goes with the story.
Yeah,
because I always tell everybody that history and the mystery go hand in hand.
yes,
You got to have a little bit of both. You have to kind of know the history to understand why the mystery is happening at this location. So I do a lot of paranormal research.
That is awesome. All right, Donna, you still with us? I think Donna's frozen right now.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you another question.
That happens.
In 2004, you wrote your very first book, Sleeping with Ghosts. Do you stay?
Yeah. Sleeping with Ghosts was the very first book, and it was kind of a big achievement for me, because I had just retired. I retired at age 50, wrote my first book, and it's all about all the haunted hotels and bed and breakfasts of Arizona. And it's funny now when I look at the book now, ghost hunting methods and investigation methods have changed so much back then. I mean, we talk about the bad word orbs in that book, and we don't talk about orbs anymore. Orbs are kind of taboo anymore, but back then that was very cool if you saw an orb. So when I read that book now, I'm like, oh, things have changed so much over the years, of paranormal investigations. So yeah, that was the very first one. And the most recent one, I have it here with me. It just came out. Actually, it actually comes out tomorrow. It's Haunted Globe.
Awesome.
Haunted Globe, Arizona is my brand new one, and it actually is officially, released tomorrow. But I have had copies now, and I've done one signing up in Globe. That one was a really fun book to do, because again, you put the history of Globe and read about all the mysterious things that happened up there. And that's how I put the books together. Talk to all the historians, people that have had experience, and it all goes hand in hand.
It does. So do you stay everywhere you write about then? Like every single place that you've ever written about, you've stayed at?
I couldn't hear. Can you repeat that, please?
Do you stay at every place you go to write about?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
I stay at all the hotels. I dine at the restaurants. I visit all the cemeteries. And like I said, when I did the book on Globe, I visited all the locations, and then I was constantly in touch with the historians up there to kind of see if they had any more information than back to the newspapers. And then that's how I put the book together. Yeah, I visit everywhere I write about. That's why I write about so many things in Arizona. That makes it a whole lot easier. Now, when we did Route 66 a couple years ago, we wrote that during the pandemic. I took I took 5 people with me. Some were on my team and some of them were from other teams, and we started on the California-Arizona border, and we did it in 4 sections. So we'd be out for 2 or 3 days, and we'd all go back home, make sure nobody had, caught COVID, everybody was still well. We'd wait about 3 or 4 weeks, and then we'd check again. Was everybody good? And then we do the next section. So we did 4 sections, and it was kind of nice because it wasn't busy anywhere, because,
Right?
Everybody was staying home at that time. And when we were done, we really felt we really achieved something, because remember then everybody was like, we're never going to be able to travel again. We're going to be stuck at home for the rest of our lives. And it showed us that, yes, you can go out and travel. You can do things. You just have to, be more cautious about things and watch your surroundings. So that turned out a really good lesson in traveling and the pandemic, and we accomplished a book. And so that one I'm really proud of, because like I said, it was done during diverse times. So
those were very, very dark times.
Yes.
Yeah.
And for example, we went to Holbrook, Arizona, and we went to visit the old courthouse, and it's a museum now. And we were the only ones in there, so we had the run of the building, so we could investigate anywhere we wanted in the building. They just kind of let us, run around the building, and it was really cool because we didn't have anybody we had to, look out for or anything like that. It was just us, 5 people. So that was very, very unique. We also went in Winslow, we went to a restaurant to eat, and I had done a investigation there, oh gosh, probably like 15 years prior. And I remember I was telling the people at dinner, I says, when we were here last time, there was a way to get downstairs, and there's tunnels underneath this restaurant. And they're going, oh no. I go, no, let me ask. So I asked the waitress. She goes, I've only been here for like, a few weeks. I don't know anything about this place. And I go, no, there's a way to get down the basement, and there's tunnels under the ground. There's a trap door. And so she called the manager, and he put me on the phone. He goes, you want to go back down there? And I'm like, yeah. So here we have another impromptu investigation, and we were able to go down in the basement, and we were down in the tunnels, and there were a couple people ahead of me, and I go, keep looking up, you're going to see a trap door pretty soon. And pretty soon they found it. So that was really kind of neat too, to know that was still there, from an investigation many, many, many years ago.
That's awesome. Right on. Donna, did you have a question?
That's awesome.
Donna, Donna, are you there?
She looks like she's frozen there again.
For you.
Oh.
Can you not hear me?
Dedrick. We can hear you, but
yes.
you keep freezing.
I can. I'm glad you can hear me, but I can still barely hear you guys. I said you're gonna have to shout.
Dedrick Hilton said DMV can be very paranormal. Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. Can you hear me okay still?
So my internet
you're
is
good.
just like yes.
Yeah.
So I'm having some issues with my internet. Yeah. So Debbie, what's the scariest place that you've been to?
Come again, I can't hear very often.
What's the scariest place that you've been to?
Scariest place. Well, let me think. I don't get scared very often. I might get a little startled, but I don't get scared very often. But let me think. It's probably nowhere in Arizona. I know there was a couple places where we've investigated, around the country that was startling. I can remember one time we were down in Rocky Point. We were clearing a house. There was a house that was very haunted. The owner couldn't keep any renters there. So she asked us to come down and kind of clear the negativity from the house. And we got down there, and it seemed pretty normal, but we were very, very cautious on what we were doing. And during the course of the evening, we were sitting there in this little living room, and we heard like tables scooting across the floor, but nothing was scooting. We heard like the equipment trunk, fall from the kitchen counter to the floor, but nothing had fallen. So we knew they were just kind of messing with us. They were, kind of playing games with us. So we had to kind of be on the upbeat. It was, like I said, not really scary, but more startling. These sounds were coming through. And then we kind of learned that there was a ghost of a little boy there, and a ghost of his father. And they were on 2 different planes. They didn't know the one or the other wasn't there. And so in the end, we moved them both on, and we did a cleansing of the house. But during the night, we were hearing knocking, toys were moving on the floor. We were hearing all kinds of weird sounds and everything. But so that was kind of more active, not really scary, but very active, and we had to be on our toes. And but again, in the end, it was very rewarding because we contacted the owner. She's re-rented the place out, and they have not had any other problems. So kind of like sometimes you have to work with scary things to make peace with the scary things.
Yes, Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. That's awesome. Okay. Where's I gonna go to that? So, what kind of equipment do you use, and what do you not like to use? Is there a piece of equipment
Oh,
that you just refuse
equipment.
to use in your investigations? Yeah.
Yeah, you're asking about
Yeah.
what kind of equipment we use. We're very basic. I've gone anywhere from being very basic to having the big computers and everything set up. But in the last couple years, we've gone back to basics. Basically, I carry an EMF meter just to kind of, test electrical devices around us. I carry a recorder just so I can record. We love to do EVPs, so I always have a digital recorder with me, and I will have a digital camera, and sometimes we'll have a digital camcorder with us. But we use very, very basic equipment, and we get a lot, especially on the digital recorders for EVPs.
Right on.
The less, the better.
I agree with that too. that too.
We don't use all the little ghost boxes or any of that. We just very, very basic. I mean, one night we were down at I have a house down in Bisbee, Arizona, and we had gone somewhere on an investigation, and we came back, but we had we dragged every single thing we had in our ghost bags out and set it all up on a chair, and just being silly. We must have had all 30 pieces of equipment just all over the place. And then I posted, "Is this how you do it?" But we were just being silly, because basically, like I said, we use very little things, and we get a lot. So that's all you need. You don't need all the other goober.
Yep, I agree. So Debbie, when did you realize that you wanted to be a writer?
I'm sorry, to ask me again.
When did you first realize you wanted to be a writer?
Oh, when I was in first grade. Awesome. When I was in first grade, I wrote my first story about Sammy the cookie, and I knew then that's what my goal in life was, to be a writer. And I always wrote like silly little plays for the neighborhood, and I was always writing little stories, and I wrote some children's books for my kids when they were growing up. So it's a goal that I always wanted to do. But then when I started gathering all these ghost stories from around Arizona, I knew that, okay, this is going to be it. I can write ghost stories, put them in book form, all my experiences from my friends, and I'm set. So that's pretty much it. I did write for Examiner.com for about 8 or 9 years, and I was writing paranormal columns about various haunted places in Arizona. I did a national column for places around the country, and I loved it. Because I got to travel everywhere. You got comped on tours and things like that. But then they kind of went under, so then I don't get to do that game anymore. But then I thought, I'll just stick with writing the books, so that's what I do.
Awesome. How long does it usually take?
We have to get together and investigate with Machiavelli Paranormal.
Yeah. What was your question again?
How long does it usually take you to write a book?
Write a book? Mm-hmm. Well, sometimes it goes faster than other, because, all the time I'm out investigating places and traveling, I'm always writing down the stories and, jotting all the notes down. So when I get assigned to do a book, I'm like, oh, I'm going to write a book here about, haunted schools. So I start going through all my notes, finding all my haunted school stories, gathering them together. And since I do like to write about Arizona, I kind of keep a map of the county, and I kind of make a list of, what, places are haunted schools or whatever. And then I start contacting people. So sometimes it'll take me a year to write a book, and sometimes it'll only take me maybe 6 months to 9 months. It just all depends how many notes I already have and what I have to, look up yet, and where I have to go visit. And that's the good part about being in Arizona. I can get in the car and go visit some of these locations, firsthand, and get more stories if I need it, and get the pictures. I do most of the pictures, and I, take some friends with me that love to take photos as well. So a lot of times my friends are excited to travel along because then they'll get a picture in my book. So that's always fun too. Or I'll contact someone. I'll say, "Hey, you live in this city. Can you go and take a picture of such and such for me?" And they'll go do that. And I'll put your picture in my book. So it takes sometimes, I would say, a year at the most to do a book. By the time you get it sent into the publisher and they read it, and then they have their editors go through it, and then you fix all the little errors and everything. It takes, I would say, 9 months to a year sometimes.
Okay, awesome. Are you there, Donna? Her internet's going crazy.
Yeah. Hello? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
No,
you can't hear me?
You froze. No, we can. You froze for a little bit there.
Me. Okay, so Debbie, do you hear me okay?
Kinda.
What's the top three locations on your bucket list that you would like to go to?
The top three locations that I've been to or want to go to or
want to go to.
My top one is Gettysburg. I decided that in 2023, I'm going to be 70. So that is on top of the bucket list. It's going to get done this year.
Yep, me too.
Not getting any younger.
Is on ours too. Yeah.
And I want to be able to walk around and enjoy the battlefield, and all the ghosts. So that is number one. Where is another place I would really like to go to? There's so many. I've been to a lot of them. Trying to think where I would like to go back to. Maybe, I'd like to go back to maybe Villisca House one more time. I've been there. And I would like to go some places in Florida. I have not investigated much in Florida. So maybe some of the old hotels down there would be interesting to go visit.
Florida is apparently very, very spiritually active.
Yeah, because
I've got family down there, so I've visited there twice.
Well, then you're very, very lucky.
Yeah, yes, I am.
Yeah. I've investigated a lot of places, because I do a lot of cemetery preservation as well. I with the Pioneer Cemetery Association in Phoenix, and we repair and restore some of the old grave markers in the cemetery. And so every year there's a big convention for all the preservationists attend. And they're always in different states, like, Massachusetts, Connecticut. I think they were down south a couple times. I think they'll be in Colorado this year. But they call it cemetery camp. And we go there and we learn new techniques. So luckily I've been fortunate to travel a lot of the different states and visit old cemeteries that some of them are haunted, some of them have really interesting stories. And while we're doing, our conference, we're always looking for the haunted places in the area too. So I get to visit a lot of cool places.
That's awesome. Donna, you still there? Wendy Clark says hello. Facebook user says, "Hey ladies." And Megan says, "St. Augustine. I lived in Florida for 8 years."
Yeah, St. Augustine. That's where I really would like to go visit. So if anyone wants me to come down there, I'll go. But yeah, that is they have some really interesting locations there. Old lighthouses and old hotels, and and when we travel, it's always we stay at a haunted hotel, we dine at the haunted restaurants. Again, visit the cemeteries. So it's always kind of related. And then I'm got my tablet out there and I'm taking notes all the time.
Right on. So what would you say is one of your writing quirks?
Greatest what?
What would you say is one of your writing quirks? Like, do you have anything like quirky that you have to do or have while you're writing?
The quirks writing.
That is pissing me off.
I actually try to make my writing like a real job. I mean, I'll start about 9 o'clock in the morning, 10 o'clock in the morning, and I try to work every day till 3 o'clock. It's just like I have to, develop a schedule. I kind of make a chart, what I need to get accomplished in so much time and what, stories I want to work on, what chapters. And I try to make it like it's a real job and I have to, meet requirements all the time. Otherwise, I think a lot of writers, they'll, well, I don't feel like doing it today, or I don't want to go, and research today. But I try to make that I work on a book when I'm working on a book every day, even if it's just a half a day.
Yeah.
So I still have my evenings free and then I have my early mornings free to do what I need to do. But I actually make myself work. And that's when I'll do all my emails. I'll make my phone calls. I'll be online, and doing my research, on the newspapers, and I'll contact other historians as well. But you have to work at it. It just doesn't like fall on the paper itself. You have to really work at it.
Right. Donna, are you with us? I think she keeps freezing.
I know. That happens to me sometimes. That's when I'm on the computer. That's why I thought usually on the phone, it works really well and I can hear really well, but there's always a quirk somewhere.
Right? Speaking of.
Yep.
What do you like to do when you're not writing a book?
What do I like to do when I'm not writing?
Oh my God.
I collect celebrity dolls. It's kind of a weird thing. I have probably 680 celebrity dolls. They're all right behind me in this room. That's why I have to block it off when I do interview, because you'll see like they're all celebrities though, like anything from television stars, movie stars, bands, whatever, I've collected dolls since I've been a little kid, and it's just still something I love. My dream was to have a celebrity doll museum where people come and visit all these dolls. But that hasn't happened. And I think now my daughter keeps threatening me that when I pass away, she's having a garage sale, buy one doll, get 5 free. But I'll have to kill her. Yeah. I'll have to haunt her.
You'll have to haunt her, yes.
I'll have to haunt her. Yeah, I have weird hobbies. I collect Girl Scout paraphernalia, celebrity dolls, Spooky Town. Spooky Town that you get at Michael's. Oh yeah, I have like Spooky Town everywhere. And I just got done dusting it, and that takes me a week because there's so many Spooky Town stuff in my house. Yeah, I'm kind of a paranormal hoarder, maybe. I don't know. I know, it's crazy. I know.
That says, "Hey, lady."
I'm sorry.
I don't know who the Facebook user is. Oh, it's okay. I don't know why you can't hear us too well. I was reading some of the comments.
Yeah.
Megan Deer say, "Yes, there I am." She says, "Saint Art." My internet is just so freaking unstable right now. Damn Cox.
I couldn't hear. I'm so sorry.
Debbie, what's the cardinal no that absolutely you will not do when you're doing investigations?
All right, can you repeat it one more time? Or one?
Am I there?
You cut out. She's cutting out.
Are you there, Stacy?
Am I cutting out now?
No, you're good.
Oh. Well, what if you can hear the question? Just ask me again.
I think she's asking what the cardinal no is that you don't do on an investigation.
Can anybody?
I still can hear you.
Donna, repeat your question.
Stacy?
Yeah, I'm here. I think, okay. So she asked, what was the cardinal no that you do during an investigation? I think that's what she meant.
Okay, I stuck in something about investigation, but what was it?
What is the
Well-
cardinal no rule during an
Oh, no cell phones.
investigation? No cell
No
phones.
cell
Okay.
phones in the room. We actually will put a basket out and collect all the cell phones and put them in a basket and give them back at the end of the investigation, because they interfere with all the equipment. You have people calling in, you have people walking away, texting. We just put them away till we're all done. If you wanted to use your cell phone, you would hand it to you and you go outside. We cell phones are the big no.
Yep. For us too. No cell phones.
Yeah.
Yep.
It just gets too crazy.
Yeah.
That's when all the equipment starts going off.
Well, yeah, it totally.
When we had all those
everything.
things on the chair, we were putting cell phones and everything was lighting up, and we were laughing really hard. We didn't. It was just something us girls were doing, but it was just too funny.
All right.
We lost her again. She's rebooting again. Yeah, it looks like crazy connection there.
Yeah.
But you can keep asking the questions. I can hear you pretty good when you get up close.
Okay, good. Okay. What was one of the most surprising things you learned in creating your books?
In creating what?
Your books.
Oh, surprising thing?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, goodness. That there were so many murders and suicides and just crazy things happening in these small towns I didn't realize, especially the mining towns, such as Bisbee and Jerome and Globe and even Prescott a little bit. All those little mining towns, they were even almost worse than Tombstone. You think Tombstone was bad because, the OK Corral. Then you start reading about some of these other towns, and they were far more violent. And that kind of amazed me. You didn't realize that, we hear all the crime that's going on now. It was just as crazy back then. They just had smaller guns.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was. I think that's what surprised me the most. How violent the West was.
Yeah. Well, you really don't learn about that part of it as a kid.
Right. You don't learn about that in school, but then when you, like I said, I have a lot of conversations with historians, and like I mentioned too, I read a lot of old newspapers, and the newspapers back then were very graphic. They would describe, man's head getting blown off, or he took poison and he was, throwing up everywhere. And they were very graphic because there was no television. So they had to make it graphic for the readers. And so you learned a lot about, oh my gosh, this was really crazy back then. And so, that's why when I write my books, I try to stay a little bit off the graphic side, but at the same time hint about it. That's just what it was like. And I think, and that's very important. And then, like I said, you have to really stay true to yourself when you're writing. Don't exaggerate. Sometimes you read books and then you're like, I don't think that happened that way. Even like TV programs, they'll come and film, and then you I've already, done all the research, and I'm like, I think they exaggerated a little bit, or maybe kind of enhanced it a little.
Mm-hmm.
But they have to do that for TV, or nobody would watch the shows. Right. But it's important to stay true to yourself, and that's the one thing that Zach Baggins actually complimented me on, that I have great integrity. I only speak the truth. So. That's probably why I'm not on the show very often, because I won't exaggerate. And they'll ask me, well, did you scary? Did you get hurt? And I'll go, no, I wasn't scared. Okay, we're cutting your scene.
Were you on Ghost Adventures?
I was on Ghost Adventures and on the show up in Globe on the old courthouse and Gila County Jail. And basically, I was a historian, just kind of telling, what had happened in the jail. So that's what I usually do when I do a TV thing. I'm back there and I'm telling some of the history stories. So
I
that
remember
makes it
that. Yes.
Yeah. So that's kind of fun, doing that. And I actually did another one another time, but they cut my scene for some a man that came walking down the street that said he saw a ghost in the window, which basically was a cutout they kept up in the window. So I got cut from that one, but I did a couple other of the shows, just doing historian blurbs, which I really like doing.
That's awesome.
I would never want to be on a show and as an investigator, that type of thing.
Oh yeah. Well, not when you have to exaggerate that much.
Yeah. They do. They want you to kind of enhance it, and I'm like, no, I'll just stick to my books. I can enhance and make more sense that way.
Right.
Go ahead, Stacy. Because can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're good. Ask your question.
Am I on?
You just have to ask it loud. I'm sorry.
Okay, so
you have to shout at me.
Okay, so if you had unlimited resources, what would you do to change the paranormal field, or what would you do to help the paranormal field?
Okay, if I had unlimited resources, I heard that, but I didn't hear the end.
What would you do to change or help?
Make things better, or make better the paranormal?
Oh, to make things better?
Field.
If I could,
in the paranormal field,
in the paranormal world?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Everybody has their own way of investigating and their own way what they want to do, and I respect that. I just want everybody to be truthful when they're out there doing their work. And there's nothing I would really want to change for anybody, because like I said, everybody has their own way of investigating. And that's a good thing, because if we all did the same, it would get boring. But I just want everybody to be honest and truthful when they're doing their work. Yeah. That's the one thing I would enforce as far as, making a change in the paranormal world. But I think most everybody is very, really honest with their work. So I enjoy looking at everything online. I'll sit there sometimes and watch all evening while I'm don't have anything to do, see what everybody else is doing out there. And I find it really interesting, especially if they get a really good EVP, or if they get something on film. I'm excited for them, because that's really cool. So I wouldn't really change anything, because I enjoy watching everybody's techniques.
Oh, right, good. Okay.
And I hope they enjoy watching mine.
Well, I'm gonna definitely. I downloaded one of your books from Amazon, so I'm definitely going to be reading that. I think it was Haunted Phoenix is the one I downloaded. I got it off of Amazon, the Kindle version.
I couldn't hear. I'm so sorry.
Oh, I got the Kindle version of your last book, Haunted Phoenix, I think it was.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they haven't done a kids version of my books yet. I'm looking, I'm trying to think, well, do I really want them to? Because I did all the research, and that's what's going to just take a book and make it. But it would be kind of flattering at the same time. Yeah. Because they're doing that a lot with the books on the Haunted series. They're making children's books out of some of those books. And, it's kind of flattering, but at the same time, I'm like, well, maybe they should ask me to do it, because I have written 3 children's books. I write about a little pig named Chicklet Piglet. And I've written 3 books and have published about him. And they're basically stories I wrote for my kids when they were little. But they haven't made a paranormal ghost story book out of any of my books yet. But it could happen.
Okay.
It could happen.
That's awesome.
Well, I have Haunted Phoenix. I just have to read it.
Yeah, you have Haunted Phoenix. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yep, that one came out a couple years ago. That one was fun to do, and that's kind of based on. I do a walking tour with Marshall Shore. He's the hip historian, and once a month we do a walking tour of downtown Phoenix to all the haunted places. And my Haunted Phoenix book has a lot of the stories that we talk about in that book. But we'll be going out again. I think it is October 8th. And we'll be doing another walking tour of downtown Phoenix. It's about a 2-hour walking tour, and it's about 2 miles. So it's about a mile an hour. But we stop and we don't go in any places, but we stop and talk about. He tells a lot of the history, and then I kind of jump in with some of the ghost stories. He tells some of the ghost stories. So it's been really fun. We've been doing it now, well, since the pandemic, because we used to take out a bus, and we would do a bus tour. But then, when pandemic came, nobody wanted to ride on the bus anymore.
Yeah.
Be side by side with people they don't know. So we started this walking tour, and we kept the group small. Everybody wore masks. And we kind of like that, you get some exercise and you get to touch the buildings, when you're in the bus. But sometimes when you're driving by, you're already like, whoop, down the street before you finish your story. And they're like, oh, that's gone. But when you're, walking, you see the buildings a lot longer, and it's kind of fun doing it that way.
Yeah.
Have you ever been down in the Phoenix underground, like where Marilyn Monroe?
Oh, the tunnels underground?
Yeah.
No, I haven't. I take that back. A long time ago, I was in Westford Ho, and we had one of the residents take us down in the basement, and he took us to one of the tunnels. And at that time, you could still kind of get in a little bit, but he highly advises not to go too far because he says sometimes there's unsavory people, living under there. So don't go, he goes, don't go out of my eyesight. So I was in the very, not very deep, maybe, I'll say maybe 6-7 feet, and went back. But now they've blocked a lot of those tunnels off, because when they put the light rail in, they really shut all those tunnels down, because they were having people, living under there, and, that type of thing. Yeah. So I've been in one of the tunnels, but there's a lot of tunnels underground there. Definitely.
Yeah, I was shocked to learn that. I had no idea.
Yeah. There was actually there's quite a few still there, but they're kind of blocked off now.
Marilyn Monroe is rumored to have been there with JFK.
Yeah, they're in the book. Yeah. Mm-hmm. They were all kinds of. They said there was a tunnel that went all the way from the San Carlos to the Westford Hole, but I don't know if that one was really. That would be an awfully long tunnel, but there could have been, because I know sometimes they would just connect from building to building to building, because whereas in Nebraska, where I'm originally from, they had the tunnels underground, so you didn't have to go out in the cold. They had some tunnels in Arizona, Phoenix, Mesa, and onward, so that you didn't have to go out into the heat. And, and sometimes they stored, eating goods underground. So, cause it was cooler. So, back in early times, if you didn't have refrigeration, you could still keep things underground and keep it cool. So that's why there's a lot of tunnels too in Arizona.
Oh yeah. Megan wants to know if you've been to the Hotel San Carlos.
I'm sorry?
Megan wants to know if you've been to the Hotel San Carlos.
Oh, the San Carlos?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did you such the San Carlos Hotel is probably one of the more popular haunted ones downtown. And because Marilyn Monroe stayed there, a lot of the movie stars stayed there. And of course, you have, Leon Jensen, who made the leap off the building. And her ghost is still seen in the San Carlos quite a bit. She kind of still roams the hallways there. I've never encountered her. I haven't heard the children, running in the hallways, because that used to be the site of the first school until, they moved the school, and then they built the hotel later on. But I still hear children, and there's a well underneath the building that's been there for years and years. And what else in the San Carlos was good? Oh, a lot of people hear people walking and knocking on their doors. I don't know if that could be pranksters though. People might know that people are staying there and like, oh, I'm gonna go knock on the door. They'll think it's a ghost and run and hide. I can see that happening a lot there. But one time we were staying in one of the rooms, and we walked in to put some things away because we had to, go to another location in the hotel. And we heard someone in there talking, and we thought, oh, it's one of our people, and they're in the room. And then we're like, so we start talking back to them, and they're like, okay, there's nobody really in here. So it is a quite busy hotel as far as hauntings, the San Carlos.
Oh wow. Hey, Brian, how are you?
Westward Ho is pretty haunted too. Right now at the Westward Ho, you almost have to be invited in because it's kind of housing for low income and elderly. And so you
Oh.
almost have to be invited into the building to be able to walk around. And I have been invited a couple times by some of the residents because they want me to come in and they want to tell me ghost stories. But sometimes it's the same stories, but I want to get into the hotel so they can tell them over and over to me as many times they want. But they used to have a ballroom, and they used to see a lady in red dancing around in the ballroom. And now they've made that ballroom into more apartments. So the last time I was there, I asked one of the residents, well, what about the lady in red? Do you still see her now that there's no ballroom there and there's apartments? And they says, yep, she's still there, except now she just kind of waltzes into one room and out another room. As you know,
wow.
she's still dancing, but she doesn't realize she's going from room to room to room. So it's
Wow.
kind of
Is that here
a cool place.
Is that here in Phoenix? Is
I'm
that in
sorry?
Phoenix? Is that in Phoenix?
Yes, the Westward Ho. It's in Phoenix, downtown Phoenix.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I can't believe they turned it into low income housing.
Yeah,
and
it was either that or be torn down, I think, and I think that was a better option.
Yeah.
And it's been housing now for probably the last maybe 20 years.
Oh, wow.
Because I think the first time we investigated there, it has to be probably like 18, 20 years ago. And like I said, every once in a while, one of the residents will get a hold of me because they have a new ghost story and they invite me down. And like, boy, I jump at the chance to go in there. It's a beautiful place. The beautiful, it was the place to be back in the day. Like they have all the resort hotels now. The Westford Hotel was like the resort. And I remember one of the ladies that lives at the Westford Ho now, she told me that when she was younger, her son was going to go to college, I think probably ASU, and that's where they would stay before he went to college. And they would go about and do everything, but they'd always meet at the Westward Ho. And you couldn't get in unless you had the door key to get in. Even at that time, it was very, very, very plush hotel. And she lives there now, and she says, I always have a key now, so she can still get into the hotel. And she's very proud of that because it's still kind of an elite place.
That's awesome.
That's cool. That's cool. Go ahead, Stacy. You have anything else?
No, you go ahead. We could hear you now. Yay!
I don't know. So when you guys are investigating, she can't hardly hear me though. When you guys are investigating, do you antagonize to try to get a reaction from spirits?
Do I antagonize the spirits? Never. I sit there and I talk to the spirits just like I'm talking to you, ladies. I sit there and have a conversation with them, ask them, how is your day been? What did you have for dinner? I just have a normal conversation with them. And, we get better reactions. When we start getting a little snarky with them, they shut themselves off. They don't want to hear that stuff. Just like you wouldn't want to hear it. So we just always have like a normal conversation with it. We've never had any reason to antagonize them as some like to do. We're very calm. We'll sit there, at a table or sit on the sofa and just said, hey, what's been happening today? What'd you have for dinner? Did you go out in the sunshine today? Did you enjoy the rain? We just have a conversation like that. We never, ever have we ever antagonized anyone, and never, ever have we ever had anything antagonize us. That's probably a good thing.
Good.
Yep.
That's good. Okay. That's good.
Yeah, just have a normal conversation. They're either going to talk to you or they're not going to talk to you, but there's no need to be, antagonize them. And don't ask them questions like, do you know your dad? How old are you? Just have normal conversation.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
It works a lot better.
Yeah. So what? Oh, What was the last investigation you went on? How long ago?
Last investigation. It's been because it's summertime. Nobody wants to go anywhere or do anything.
Yeah.
I think last spring we were investigating the train depot up in Globe, the old train depot. And there was, I think, 5 of us. We spent the night in the depot, and that was kind of nice. It was a little bit busy. We were seeing a few things when we were upstairs. We thought we actually saw a man walk past the window, which would have been totally impossible because we were on the 2nd floor, but who knows? And we were hearing, that's when we were hearing German voices and this little things like that. Also at the train depot one time, we were up there, we were doing it was a fundraiser, and my one friend likes to tell silly jokes while people are working on the crafts. And, she was going on, and everyone's rolling their eyes, and she's just going one joke after the other. Finally, they got to some joke, and nobody knew the answer. They just all still. And all of a sudden, we heard a man give the answer that was over by the train depot office. And we both recognized the voice of the man. We knew who he was. He was a former, researcher up in Globe, and he gave the right answer of all things. Yeah, and of course, we weren't recording anything because we were doing this other project. But we usually, that was like the last one I can remember us doing off the top of my head. But that was, I think, in the springtime. We were down at my house in Bisbee. We did an investigation of my house because I have a little girl in my house and a cat, and there's also another gentleman at my house. So we did an investigation down there, and we got the little girl. We were talking about the cat, and we were saying how cats come in handy because they will catch, the mice. And you hear the little girl going, mice, mice. Nice.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, she was very cool. And my daughter and her boyfriend and my granddaughter were staying down there, and they were having all kinds of action down there when I wasn't there, of course. They were down there, and things were being moved around, doors were opening, lights were going on and off, and they saw a shadow person walk through the house too. So, and sometimes the other people who they're visiting my house has more fun than I do, but it's a neat it's a house down Bisbee, right across the street from the cemetery. So sometimes I think we're getting just travelers walking through the house from the cemetery.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Hey, Savia. She said my granddaughter's yelling, "Hi, Grandma." Hey, sweetie. So Megan says, do you have any history on the Hotel LA? More in Hotel.
You got a lot of people watching you tonight?
Yeah, my granddaughter.
Oh, nice. Fun. Are you guys in the Phoenix area?
I am, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm in Mesa.
Oh, you're in Mesa. Well, I'm in Mesa too. I'm in Mesa. Mm-hmm. So that's where I am, and I mainly live in here in Mesa, but I do have like a second weekend home down in Bisbee.
Oh,
so
nice.
I'm up here most of the time.
Do you check out the wineries when you go there?
Pardon me?
The wineries? Do you go to any of the wineries in Bisbee?
Sometimes, I'll take people there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Stay away from Jerome. You go up there, and then they have all the wine. Everybody has wineries now.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we're gonna do the old YMCA in Miami next month, and then we're doing the old YMCA in Miami next month.
Oh, you're going up there?
Yep.
When are you going there?
October 22nd.
Oh darn! That's when I'm going on a cruise. I'm finally going to get to go on to see the Panama Canal. That's a bucket list thing, even though it's not really.
Oh wow!
It's not really, really, really haunted, but it's something I've always wanted to do. But I have found some haunted places during my stops that I'm going to kind of like. I took tours that specifically kind of like go there or go by there. But yeah, you're going to love the YMCA. It's really kind of a neat building. I've done a couple book signings there and kind of did a couple mini investigations there. But don't fall in the pool. That's all I can say. Don't fall in the pool. There's no water.
You're the second person to say that.
Go on the side of the pool that has the like 5-foot walkway, not the one that only has the 3-foot walkway. I couldn't go that way. I gotta go the other way because I'm gonna fall. I'll stumble or something and I'll be falling. So go on the side with the wider walkway.
Okay.
I can imagine, I've asked people that took swimming lessons there and they go, yep, everybody always got pushed on that one side because there wasn't, hardly any walkway there. And I'm like, oh my God. It made me crazy just walking in there. But it's a cool building. It's a very cool building. You're going to enjoy it.
Oh, cool. Yeah, we're going to do
If I was here, I'd go with you.
We're going to do the old school, the Bouillon Plaza.
Yeah, and you have great food there too, up in Miami.
Ah, nice.
Good food up there. Good food.
Have you been to the Bouillon Plaza?
Pardon me?
The Bouillon Plaza. Have you done that?
The Bouillon Plaza. Yeah, I've done the Bouillon Plaza. Oh, I investigated there a couple times. I go in there often to take books and things up there. And I was just up there a few weeks ago walking through. It's a very, very cool place. It's very, very cool. A lot of school children activity there. All the kids, it was a great little school. So all the kids had fun. So you have all the little, you hear the little voices of kids all the time. And, they're always, it was their favorite place. That was probably a good place for them to go. So they, I know when I think of my grade school and all the fun I had there, when I have dreams, I'm always back at my grade school. So sometimes children love to go back to their safe places, like, their grade school and stuff. So yeah, very, very cool place. A lot of history. It's a great, great museum, but I don't really feel it's haunted, but in a good way.
Yeah, we're going there in November, I believe.
Yeah, yeah. You'll enjoy it. The only thing I think up on the top floor, there were a couple. It was like one little area. It was like schoolboy squabble. Like boys fighting and playing. But other than that, it's a very nice place. I like it.
Okay, cool.
Right on.
Okay. Of course, I don't get spooked or anything. So every place is a nice place to me.
Right.
Okay, so before we go, you want to tell everybody how to get in touch with you or where they can purchase your books?
All right, I couldn't hear. I'm sorry.
She can't hear me.
Would you like to tell all of our viewers where they can get your books and how they can find you online?
Yeah, of course. That's the best part, right? Well, of course, they're all on Amazon. And if you go on Facebook, I'm under Debbie Branning, and you can always message me. I always have a supply of books here at the house. So I'm always happy to, give you my PayPal at that point. And I might mail them out to you and sign them and throw in a bookmark. And so I always have a supply here. So anybody that needs a book, just contact me and I can send one your way.
All right. Good to know.
Yeah.
I always have a supply.
Okay. Right. Well, we appreciate you coming on. Thank you so much.
I had a lot of fun, guys. I really did. That was really, really fun. And I hope that maybe one of these days I can go on an investigation with you and learn from you guys too, because it's always fun to learn from each other, don't you think? Like what everybody's doing. Yeah.
Definitely.
That's like my favorite part.
Okay.
Get to go out and learn a new technique or sit there and just listen while something's going on. It's fun.
Yep.
Right on.
Yep. Alarm's going off on my phone. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. We really appreciate you. And I'm going to go figure out how to take us out.
Bye. Thank you, Debbie.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay. It's not loading. Okay. I guess I just have to end my broadcast.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye. My outro's not working. Thanks, Shauna.